many women sadly have a lot of trauma around sex. We need to heal it. It needs to heal because we carry all of this in our somatic system. We carry all of this in all of our body, and it affects many things you do in your daily life.
Yes. Hi, Krista. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate that you came on. I know I reached out to you in the past, but then like a week ago, I reached out to you again and I was like, can you please just come on? I really need you on for the theme, like February Valentine theme. And I know you're up in Canada, correct?
Mm-hmm.
For
Yes,
some reason, I thought you were in Colorado. But anyways,
I wish.
do you guys celebrate Valentine's up in?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so then you know what I'm talking about.
Of course, yes.
My husband and I we don't really celebrate Valentine's Day because we feel like every day should be love. But I just feel like, hey, it's February. Why not just go with the theme?
I love it. It's beautiful. Thank you so much for having me here. I love the story that you share, and I'm excited to talk to you today. If I could, I'll just start with a little bit of how I came to where I got to.
Yes, please.
Okay, so about 2017, I had 3 kids, and having kids really changes a marriage. And if you're constantly trying to manage your household and work and just carry on with life, the first thing that tends to go is our marriage. And very much so in the marriage is the sexual part of your marriage. So within my marriage, we were very disconnected from each other emotionally and physically. I was seeking ways to help me, find something I could do to bring us closer together while we're in the chaos with 3 tiny children. So what I came across was a coaching certification. I just read the course outline and I was like, I'm in, sign me up. I don't even care what I have to do. So I signed up, took the course. Little did I know that the first 6 months of this course was all about deep diving into myself. So I was like, whoa, what did I sign up for? It also had a lot of spirituality in it, which was a whole nother world for me too. So I had a lot of learning to do, a lot of healing to do, and a lot of stuff came up for me during that course. So after that course had finished is when I had more freedom to spend the time with my husband to work on our own marriage. And it was amazing. We applied a lot of the principles, we did a lot of the things, and we felt more connected, we were more grounded, and it didn't only show in our marriage, it showed in our relationship. And so when you look at the whole relationship as an all-encompassing piece, and take that out. When you come into your relationship, I think there's some things that I really had to learn. First of all, it was working on my own inner self. It was healing a lot of the trauma I had grown up with and learning that I had abandoned myself many times. And as women, we often don't put ourselves first. We put ourselves very last. And I mean last, behind even laundry and groceries, and everybody else's desires are met first. And as women, we tend to just give up on ourselves. And giving up on ourselves is a type of death within. It literally puts our soul down. We don't end up living our purpose or living our dreams. So honoring ourselves is a very important part of being in a healthy marriage, in a healthy relationship, and that leads to healthy sexuality. Because who wants to be intimate with a partner after you've completely abandoned yourself and neglected yourself in every way? So that is one area that I had to do a lot of work on. And I found after speaking with clients and stuff, there's many women who agree with that and who would needed the same type of healing. So how does that work? Well, all of us have this inner voice within us. I don't know if you've come across learning this.
Oh, no, I already knew this from a kid. I heard myself with this
I
inner
know,
voice
right?
all the time, and I trusted
all the time. Yes, good. I think a lot of us push it down though, or ignore it, or are like, what is that voice? Like, what should I even listen to it? No. And we look outside of ourselves to get the answers we need. And so if my inner voice is telling me, no, I'm not interested in being intimate with this person at this moment, but culturally, oh, well, maybe I should because X, Y, and Z, it's not honoring yourself. So listening to that inner voice. And if you want to go straight into the sexual piece of it all, it's really before you are even intimate with somebody, it's asking yourself if you even want to be intimate with somebody.
Yeah.
Because many times we just do the thing to get the thing over with, to kind of check it off, to let him go to sleep. And we're like, thank God it's done. But if you go that route, you've completely, again, abandoned yourself and haven't listened to your own needs. So let's say you go into your body before you're even going to be with someone. You close your eyes, you take a deep breath, and you ask yourself, do I want to be intimate with this person? Do I want to be sexual with this person? And if you get a yes, then you know you're in the right path.
Yeah.
Right. So you check in with yourself and you ask your vulva. You actually speak to your body, because we are often disconnected and we kind of run around with this head and we forget that we have a body. So you need to actually treat your whole body as one whole unit, and you ask your body, you speak to her, your vulva. Do you want to be with this person? Yes or no? And if you get a yes, golden, carry on. If you get a no, you need to honor the no. Always, always, always honor the no. Your body is speaking to you and telling you no. If you don't hear anything, then I suggest you just kind of need to learn to go in more and listen to your body. Yeah. So getting a yes or no is really important. There's many ways. I know you were talking about how orgasms for women, and orgasms are they're a hard topic to talk about because it's often an end game for people. So they feel that if they don't have an orgasm, sex is a total failure. They feel like pressure to have one by their partner, because then their partner feels successful in the relationship. And then that's one way. Or women completely fake it just to kind of say they've done it and they get it over with. However, it's a very deep, it is a deep healing process to learn. And many women do struggle to orgasm. So it's a deep healing process to go in, to surrender, to trust the partner you're with. And that's super important.
Yes.
And to allow yourself to feel all the feelings.
Yeah.
And that's important. We have to feel the feelings. If you're a person who gets in your head, it'll be very difficult for you to orgasm. You have to stay with her. You have to stay present. You have to stop thinking about the grocery list, or when the kids need to be picked up, or this and that, and the dog needs a walk. And like, you have to stay present with your feelings. And one way to do that is to keep breathing. You want to keep breathing nice and deep, in and out, letting your jaw relax, because often we tense up and we're holding our breath and we're like hanging on to our body. But try just releasing, letting the body relax, letting the jaw relax, and taking in and out, inhale and exhale, and just letting yourself surrender to the process. If you're with somebody you don't trust or really like, it's it's a different story.
Yeah.
But it's really important to be, I think if women struggle to orgasm, it's important to be with somebody they really care about and trust.
Yeah. You
And
spoke to, oh, go ahead. Yeah, keep
I was
going.
going to say, don't make it an end game. If it doesn't
Yeah.
happen, it doesn't happen. And the pressure to have one is really hard on people. So I say, just say whatever. We're just going to let this experience be what it is. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, many people have learned to have sex by watching porno. And porno does not teach us how to have sex. It's one way. And if someone enjoys that type of style once in a while, but there are
Mhm.
so many other ways people can have sex that is not porno style. One way is slowing down. One way is using it as a healing method. And this is very powerful. And the women who listen to you might find this helpful is you basically are having intercourse with your partner as a means to connect with your body, as a
Mm.
means to release whatever you're holding in your body. So it's more of a healing connection. It's not we're having sex and we're getting to the orgasm and we're done. It's like very
Mm.
slow and very tender. And your partner is just there supporting you.
Mhm.
And if you need to cry during the process, you cry.
Yeah.
It's very, very healing because not only have you got your partner, like you're having sex, your partner is there with you fully, with his heart, with his whole being. Then you have the connection piece to the person you love, whose heart is directly like right there with you.
Yeah.
And then you have it slow and loving and tender with no outcome of orgasm, except it's like a way to release, whatever you're holding. If it's tears, if it's stress, if it's trauma, if it's anything, you can just let it release from your body that
Mhm.
way. It's very powerful and it's very healing. Many people don't even think to have sex this way, but it's definitely a way that can bring about even a deeper connection in your own marriage because we're often just taught, let's get this over with, hurry up, I got to get
Mm.
out and get my thing done. But it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's setting an intention before you start as well. It's setting the intention of how do you want this to look? Like some days people have different desires for different ways to have intercourse, right? Sometimes you just want a quickie. Sometimes you do want a very loving and caring and, energy holding type of sex. Sometimes you want it to look more tantric. Sometimes you want it to look more porno style. It's really about communicating with your partner, making an intention for how you want this session sounds so clinical, how you want this to look. And the communication is 100% key.
Yeah. Absolutely. You spoke on so much, just like you're talking to me, like you've been in my bedroom with me. And it so the reason why I have Krista on and on this particular podcast, this is about autoimmune disease, right? It's about healing from autoimmune disease. But the approach that I take for myself and with my clients is that you have to look at every part of your life because that affects your health, and that includes your sexuality, not only sex with a partner but sex with yourself, your own sexuality. How do you show up in the world? Do you feel safe enough to show up and shine your light as a sexual being without someone coming in and taking that from you or shaming you or thinking that's an invitation? And then you have to start dimming your light, making yourself smaller, but then you're disconnecting from yourself. And when you disconnect from yourself, that creates this ease in the body. And then when you don't allow yourself and excuse me, all those messaging that we get as women creep into our mind and into our body. So and then it creeps into the bedroom. And we are not able to fully give ourselves because we feel shame or we don't feel like we can show up. And I feel like with autoimmune diseases, especially personally, I mean, I feel like not only that, like with the conventional world, like when I was 18, I started birth control. I started on birth control. That's when my husband and I met. And probably like 8 months after I started birth control, my hormones just tanked. Like my libido was gone.
Me too.
And I was on birth control for 18 years and with 2 breaks to have two daughters. And so that's our whole relationship. So when your libido is gone and then you get an autoimmune disease, then you're really tired. And that also affects your hormones. So when you're not in that place and you feel like you're never going to be in that place where you're going to feel that desire again, it's really hard. I don't know if you could speak to this, but it's really hard to, because I could talk to my vagina or yoni or vulva, whatever you want to call it, and say, hey, is this what you want? It's going to say no every day. Mm. So, but you did speak to some things, and I do feel it's that trust as well, because when you do it out of necessity or duty, your body, personally, my body starts to tense up. Like, okay, let's just get this over with, like how you said. And then that creates discomfort during sex. And then your body is, feeling this trauma, physical trauma. Then your body that part of you starts to shut down because that hurts too much. And then you're not able to relax and fully connect with your partner or even with yourself because you're too busy trying to protect yourself so that you don't get hurt.
And by hurt?
Like physically.
Physically hurt. Can you talk more about that?
Like pain.
From the sex.
Yes, from the penetration.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
and you said it's about trusting, right? But when you've had a relationship with someone, and not that it's my partner's fault, my body can't trust.
There's trauma there.
There's trauma. Yeah. And I've done like the pelvic floor, and my physical therapist like, whoa, you're a mess. And so, but I'm starting to learn that trust aspect, and how you said you have to be present. And now I'm starting to talk to myself. Like the last time we had intercourse, I was able to enjoy it more because I was consoling myself. It's okay, Thermanda. Just be able to receive this beauty, this connection. It's okay. He's not going to hurt you and whatnot. And it was more enjoyable. Then I did feel a little tingle of pain, but then I spoke to that pain.
Yeah.
And then it went away.
It really is about going in. It's not about the partner in this instance, right? It's about, you spoke about shame. Well, women, we have been growing up with shame. Shame is in our system. It starts with healing. It starts with awareness and honoring and looking inside of ourselves and asking, what do we truly want versus looking outside of ourselves?
Yeah.
It's about honoring what your body needs. If your body is saying no all the time, or you think it would, why would that be? And then go from there. If you have, and many women sadly have a lot of trauma around sex, we need to heal it. It needs to heal. Because we carry all of this in our somatic system. We carry all of this in all of our body, and it affects many things you do in your daily life.
Yes.
Like you said, we need to feel safe. Well, women, we walk down the street, you see someone coming, we go the other way. Like it's constant. There's constant reminders of us not to feel safe.
Yep.
But when we go into our body and learn what safety feels like, what power within feels like, what asking yourself what you need feels like, talking to the different parts of ourselves. We have an inner child, we have many different energetic parts within ourselves. Learning to speak to those different parts can help people heal on their journey to becoming more whole. And when you speak about pain with sex, that's my heart goes out to you and to those who struggle with that, because I think when we have other things in our body, like you're talking about your autoimmune disease and, or we have chronic pain or we've damaged something or anything, it's like another struggle or hurdle to overcome.
Yeah.
But I think if you're willing to work on it and you've worked on the trauma and you're like, okay, I do love this person. We are wired to be sexual beings. We are wired for connection.
Yes.
It doesn't always have to be just sex. So take that part out. Talk with your partner. Listen, I want to put a stop to all sex for just, a little bit. I need to do some healing. But what do you need? Well, maybe I need to be cuddled. I need to feel loved. I need to feel like you're really present with me. I need to know that you're actually really there with me.
Yeah.
I need you. Some people love their hair brushed or take a bath and somebody washes their hair, whatever it is you feel you need is what you should honor. That will heal yourself, heal your connection. And when there's pain, like you've done the pelvic physio you talked about, I'm going to assume they maybe just talk to you about breathing, releasing, being slow, lots of lubrication, and just taking your time.
Yeah.
And really taking your time. Not just go, trying to get it over with, but really taking it in slow, gentle motions. It doesn't have to always be a pounding event. I know a lot of people call it jackhammering. It doesn't have to be that. It can be so much more. Yeah. We just don't ask the questions. Nobody really talks about it. People don't know. We know porno. We don't know there's this whole other world of ways to connect. You can even learn energetic orgasms that you don't even take your clothes off for. Like you just, it's beautiful and it's effective and it's amazing. And it's a whole different being of sexual energy. It doesn't have to be about, oh my God, it's going to be so painful. My body's tensing up. I don't want to do this. Let's find another way. Let's find another way that will work for us. It's really about the healing. It
is. And so you piqued my curiosity with the energetic connection without even taking your clothes off. So would you be able to speak to that a little bit more?
This is something I'm just learning. So I'm not an expert by any means on this area, but Jaya is. If you ever look up Jaya, she can walk you through energetic orgasms. Or if you watch the Goop episode with Gwyneth Paltrow, and she has an entire series on sex, it's in there. And if you can visually see what they're doing, it'll blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. And just, we're all energetic beings. And if we just take your hands together, rub your hands together, and let the heat build between your hands. You pull your hands apart and you can feel energy there. You can feel there's something there between your hands that remains, right?
Yeah.
If you come down on, your arm or someone's arm and you're just bringing your hand down, you can feel there's an energetic field around all of us.
Yep.
So in energetic orgasms, it's all about finding that field and working towards, what that person's like, what they prefer.
That's so interesting.
It's very, very cool. I'm just learning about that now, so I'm not great to speak on it, but
Yeah.
I would definitely check it out. I mean, it's a way for you to connect with your partner, and it's exciting. It's different, and people are needing something different, I think.
Yeah.
We get stuck in the mundane, like, okay, let's do position number 1 and do that. Okay, moving to position number 2. And it's like the same thing over and over and over. And people get bored, and then they check out, and then they're in their head and they're fantasizing or thinking about whatever, or just completely shut down and numb. And people need some variety. It's important. We need to revolutionize this, because it's like, not only are we in a pandemic, but we're like in a sex pandemic right now, because people are desperate to find something, and it's connection, and it's loving presence, and it's feeling like you're seen and heard and loved, and it's all those things. It's so much, but really, it all comes down to you. No one else can heal us but us.
That's
so
right.
It's all about learning to go inside and asking the questions, talking to ourselves, not in our head, but in our body. And there's a difference, because if you ask yourself in your head, you're going to be but your ego is going to mess with you. We all know the ego, right?
Yes.
The ego does what the ego wants, but your heart and your soul speak a different language in that sense. They don't speak like the ego. They speak from a place of connection, of presence, of loving connection and presence. And learning to go there is very much spirituality, but it's also very much a way to connect within your body. And that will give you the answers you seek. It'll give you the desires you want. And you talk about shame about women. We've been shamed. We've been even shamed to the point that we don't even own our own desires. You aren't allowed to desire unless a man kind of owns that desire. Look at Hollywood. Women are so sexualized. They don't even own their own sexuality. Hollywood owns their sexuality. They can't be sexual beings. Hollywood tells them how to be that way. And it's most always at the presence of a patriarchy type of figure, right? So women learning to go inside and listen to their own inner being, their own inner voice, will become powerful on their own. And they will soon realize that we don't need to listen to those voices on the outside, because those voices can be very toxic. Those voices have their own trauma that they are trying to lay upon us. Those voices are not always in our best interest and guiding us the way they want to go. And I'm not just talking men in general, because men have their own trauma, but there's a type of patriarchy out there, right? That typically involves men. Well, it does involve men, but it's really about going in, learning how you feel, learning what your body is saying to you, honoring the no's, honoring what it wants, asking for what you need, asking always for what you need. If it's triggering to your partner, it's a way to have a conversation about it. Because often if it's triggering, it's a trauma. And then it's something we need to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much.
Yeah, I had to, because at first I didn't understand what was going on. And then I started to learn, I'm getting tense. I'm supposed to be relaxed. And then there was just everything was starting to like click with me, what's going on. And I'm still learning more and more. And as I'm learning, I express it to my partner, to my husband, and let him know, like, has nothing to do with you. Like, it's not that I'm not attracted to you. It's just that I'm in the healing process. I have a lot going on inside my body. It is painful for me. And I had to express that I have to learn to trust you, and trust myself at the same time. And then I do, tell him that you do need to be present as well, because I could tell sometimes that he's not present with me. And I'll give him signs like, no, this position is not for me. and he's not listening. And sometimes I just want to smack him in the face, like, hello, I'm here too.
Yeah.
And so, it's talking. For first, I have to decipher what I'm feeling inside my body before I can express it to my husband.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's something that you had to do and work with your clients with.
Yes. And really, if you're in that moment and you're in the middle of having sex and or just the beginning and you're feeling your body tightening up, just slow it down. And I mean, like, slow it way down. Even stop. He doesn't have to pull out, but just stop.
Yeah.
And really just be like, I need to check in, and he can just wait and be with you, present with you.
Yeah.
And you ask yourself, what do I need right now? Oh, I just need to cry. Okay. Then we're going to cry. Or, I just need to breathe. I just need to take a few deep breaths and like stay present. Or I hear something, a voice coming up within me, and I just need to listen to what it's saying for a minute. Yeah. And if it's like, stop doing what you're doing, then you stop.
Yes.
Yeah. Either he's not going to like that, but it's really, you have to stop. And there's other ways that he can have pleasure too. Right.
Yeah.
But it's learning to trust yourself. It's learning to not abandon ourselves. And it's about learning to listen to what we need.
Yeah. Not abandoning ourselves. I feel that is one of the many, if not the main root cause of autoimmune disease, is that we have abandoned ourselves. I mean, men have autoimmune diseases too, but the amount of women that have it is a lot more. And yes, and we are raised, and our society does groom us to abandon ourselves, and we play into that, and that's when we need to step in and say no. And so, and that's what I had to learn to, when I start to feel like, oh, I'm feeling selfish for doing something, I had to tell myself, no, I matter too.
Exactly.
And that's the whole reason why I named this podcast A Woman Worth Healing, because you have to know you're worth it. And the stuff that you have to do to start healing is to stop abandoning yourself and finding yourself again. And you have to be ready and know your worthiness to start that healing process.
100%. And I think there is conditioning, like you said, that we do abandon ourselves. And we do it in all kinds of ways. Like, you go to the store, you want to pick up something, but you're like, oh, no, I better not, I'll get the kids this and pick up this for my husband, but you leave yourself out because you're worried about the bill being too large, or you abandon yourself because women often think that, I'm not going to say all women, there are women who think that they are on this planet to please men, in the sense that if, a man buys you a drink at a bar or at a club or whatever, you now owe him sex for this drink. And it's like, where did that come in? Because there is no rules on that. You can accept the drink if you want it or not. And you do not owe them anything. It's about listening to yourself and staying in your own power and not giving it away to everybody else.
Absolutely. And doing what you think other people want you to do.
Yeah. Because they're doing what they want to do. And if you're living by everybody else's rules, you're abandoning yourself.
Absolutely. And the thing is like, when you're abandoning yourself, you're actually abandoning everybody else. Like, you think you're doing good for the people around you, but you truly are not, because if you're not fully the person you're supposed to be, showing up in this world as your best self, people get to miss that part of you. And when you give from the best part of yourself, because you're able to, because you have enough now, you have built up your reservoir and now it's overflowing, they get that overflow. They don't get what's in your cup. They get what overflows. And then that's more powerful and more magical and loving than scraping at the bottom, like scooping up whatever you have left of yourself, because then you're giving them the crappy parts of yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. Taking time to rest when you need to rest. Taking time to just sit and be if you need to just sit and be. Taking time for fitness, for health, for your health, for healthy food, making good choices for yourself.
Yeah.
All of this comes like down the pipeline, so to speak. When you take care of yourself and you are happy and you feel content and you have honored yourself, it goes down into your children and it shows up in your marriage.
It does.
And it's kind of comes back full circle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it goes hand in hand with what you spoke about earlier. If you don't tap into yourself and address the traumas and everything that goes along with it, it shows up in your relationship, in your connection. And you spoke about earlier about once you have children, like I say that once we had children, my husband and I became more like partners and parents to our children, and not that sexual relationship, because that fell away.
100%.
And then I started to realize, that came into my awareness. I'm like, oh, that sounds like us. Like we still love each other, but then I realized that we have to put our relationship first and foremost. We women, men, you need to put yourself first. Then you could come to the relationship and have a really, really strong bond. And when you have that bond, then you're better parents. So we're so conditioned, our children comes first.
Yes.
But that's kind of backwards. Our partner comes first, then our children. And because when your children are growing up in a household where they see that their parents love each other and they're still together, that's so much healthier for that child.
Exactly.
And and it's just like my husband, like I'm a very affectionate, that's my love language is affection. Like I have to give it. I need it, but I need to give it more than I receive, because sometimes I just feel like smothered. Like I can smother you, but please don't smother me type feel.
You're overtouched.
That's that overstimulation that I feel. But I do love hugs. And so this pandemic is not good for people like me. Like,
I know.
give me a hug. I don't care.
I know. And my life depends on it.
And so my husband and I will still show affection, and my daughters will be like, ew. And my husband and I will stop and look at them. They're like, what is so wrong with what we're doing? And don't you want to see that your parents still love each other? And then they just walk away.
Yeah. Are they young? They're younger?
11 and 7.
Yeah.
So maybe my 11-year-old is more
grossed out. Yeah.
Like, come on, get a room. And my husband's like, this whole house is my room. Go get your own house.
I love that. It's so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's healthy, even though they pretend they're grossed out. I think it's so healthy for kids to see that your parents, as parents, we touch, we hug, we love, we do have hard conversations, we argue sometimes, but we work it out. And we do so with loving intention and presence.
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
Yes. And we're modeling for them. So they know what a real loving relationship is. So they know their worth.
100%. Yeah. Because if they don't see that, then they go out into the world and they don't know what they're looking for. And they don't find necessarily the best thing for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very important. I have a practice maybe you guys would like to try.
Okay.
It's a non-sexual one, but it's just a practice. I know Valentine's Day is in this month, and people who have a partner can do this one. And if you're alone, it might be a practice you can even just do with yourself, because I think sometimes we don't know these things until we speak them.
Mhm.
So it's called fears, loves, and desires. So you
Okay.
sit with your partner. You can sit what they call yab yum, like together, or you can sit just with your legs crossed facing each other. But what's important is that you're facing each other, even if your body needs to move a different way. You just make sure you have eye contact. This alone can be difficult for some people because eye contact is a disconnection, right?
Mm.
But we will carry on as if we can maintain some eye contact. So you each take a turn. Each person is going to speak about their fears for 2 minutes. So if I was going to go first, I'm going to speak my fears for 2 minutes. And it might be like, I fear losing you. I fear that you don't love me the way I need to be loved. I fear that our relationship is falling apart. You just speak about your fears. The other person who is listening is not allowed to interrupt you. They are just there holding space. And by holding space, I mean they are present, they are listening, they are not on their phone, they are not thinking about, a football game or a hockey game or anything like that. They are present and listening and participating, but not speaking. Then they switch. When the 2 minutes is up, you switch. And the idea is it gives people space to speak without interruption, without someone being like, oh my God, yeah, I have that fear too. And then you go off on a tangent. And the bond is kind of broken because someone hasn't gotten to finish what they've said. So you speak your fears for 2 minutes. And then when you're done, you just say thank you. Then you move on to love. So you just speak about what you love about that person. I love that you are so caring and always think of me and bring me a tea every morning, or I don't know, whatever. It was off the top of my head, just whatever it is you love about that person. And if you struggle, just think simple. It doesn't need to be, earth shattering information that comes up. It's just something that bubbles up from your heart. And it's about love. And then when the 2 minutes is up, the other person and you both just say thank you. And then you move on to desires and you speak about the desires you have. Like I desire that you hold me more. I desire that we lay together in bed before we fall asleep. I desire for you and I to spend a weekend together. And you just, with no kids, and you just speak about your desires and what it is you truly, truly want. And that can be, anything that it is that you desire. Don't hold back. And then at the end of the 2 minutes, you say thank you. So at each fear, you switch spots. Loves, you switch spots. And desires, you switch spots. So that way, both people have had a chance to speak both their fears, loves, and desires. And it's a pretty powerful practice because you'll learn something about your partner. And if you're the person holding space and you feel emotion come up, it's okay to cry, but you can't expect anything from your partner in that moment. Like you're not going to stop so that you can hug. You have to let the 2 minutes finish. If you feel triggered by something they're saying, it's only 2 minutes. You're going to just sit and breathe through it. And then when the practices are done, you can revisit that trigger with loving compassion. Yeah, but it's an important way to connect. It's an important way to listen. And it's hard for people to listen.
Yeah.
We're in a constant world of chaos and our minds are being pulled in every direction with social media and whatnot.
Yeah.
Just sitting and listening, looking in each other's eyes, it's the gateway to the soul, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a powerful practice.
Can I offer like something in addition to that?
Yeah.
So there's two things, the triggering part and then the loving part. So I'm going to start with the loving part. It's also practicing like when you have to find something loving about that person that you like. It's and you said it has to come from love, and a good visualization would be like I'm holding my hands kind of like in a heart shape in front of my heart, but it's like bringing your awareness to your heart and like
Mhm.
kind of like I'm moving my hands away towards like the screen right now, like visualizing it, those messages coming from your heart, literally
Yes.
from your heart, and tapping into that. And that's not going to be easy the first time. It might be, I don't know,
No,
but that's
might
a
not.
practice.
Mhm.
That's a practice that I do anyways. Like even like I said that I did a prayer before we get on. That's one part of my prayer. I ask, please allow my heart to open so that
Mhm.
I can connect to Krista, heart to heart, soul to soul.
Yeah.
So, and when I do my deep breathing, I focus on the heart because it's called that coherence with
Mhm.
your
Yeah, the
mind and your
heart
heart.
coherence. Yep.
Yes. So it's like bringing them together, but so that's might be easier I don't know, it could be easier, harder, or something for you to learn about
Yes.
tapping into your heart and
Mhm.
truly seeing the beauty in someone, and that might make you have to take a step back and take some breaths in and just think of loving things,
Yeah.
and then it'll eventually flow. But like with anything, this is not going to be like a one time
No.
like thing. This is what you guys are going to do um every so often because it's a
Mhm.
practice. It might be all awkward and fumbling like the first
It
time.
might. It might be totally awkward the first time, and you might just be like, this is stupid. Let's stop. This is
Yeah.
ridiculous. I don't want to do it. Ask yourself why you're even stopping.
Yes.
Ask yourself
Yes.
why you feel that it's stupid.
Yep.
It could be that
You're
working on your
resisting.
relationship is very hard and you're resisting, or it could be conditioning that you had, or it could be coming
Mm,
from maybe you hear your parents' voice in your head. Like
mm.
there's a lot there. And if you can't do it, that's something to go deeper with.
Yes. Why can't you do that? Why
Yeah.
can't you just do something simple as this? Yes, because that's the awareness. That's your body communicating to you. And that's when it's time for you to get curious with yourself, like, without any judgment, get curious, like, wow, why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
And figure out where that comes from, or try to at least, and just look at it in a loving way and address it from there. Now with the triggering part, because I practice that with my health coaching training, we learn to be that holding that safe container and being that good listener, and whether you're triggered or not, like learning how to deal with that,
Mhm.
because that does show up, because especially with your client, they might say something that triggers you, not that it's against you, but you felt that, and that just kind of stirs up. And so I've been practicing that at home with my daughters and my husband as well. And I'm telling you, even like when we my husband is a man of few words, and we could have really good conversations now because I'm holding that space and I'm allowing him to talk without um that resistance, or like when I'm triggered, um defensiveness, like
Mhm.
I don't do this, blah, 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 like, so then that shuts him up and he doesn't want to talk to me, right?
Right.
So um when those triggering moments come to me, when what he says and he's trying to express something to me, I talk to myself during those times. So I just look at him and um, allow him to realize that I am present and I am listening. And I either say, okay, what he's saying is either has nothing to do with me, so I shouldn't be triggered because it's not mine to take. That's
Yeah.
his thing that he's working through.
Yeah.
And so that helps alleviate the burden, I suppose, on me, because it's not about me, and I'm making it about me, but it's not about me.
Right.
Or it is about me, he's speaking straight to me, like, and then I have to tell myself, okay, this is how he sees things, and maybe it is something that I could dissect And why do I feel triggered in the first place? And a lot of times when I don't like respond, like defend myself, because I feel like I don't need to defend myself because there's nothing to defend. So that has helped me, because believe me, I was that one that was going to get defensive like in a second. And now I'm working on that and allowing someone to be able to express themselves without someone attacking them or judging them. And you will find so much magic comes from that, and a deeper connection to each other. And the other day, I said like a few words, and my meaning was not, he took it a different meaning. So it's all about perception. And so he got really defensive of what I said. And I didn't take it that way. But instead of me defending myself, oh, well, that's not, why are you getting defensive, blah, blah, blah. I just left it at that, just calmly. And that's normally not me. And I just left it at that and let him be ticked off like in that moment, because I told myself, that's something he needs to work on. There's something there that I triggered in him that he needs to work on for himself. And I'm like, I hope he realizes that. And not everybody realizes those triggers are for you to address. So the next day he said something, like we were talking about something else, but it was in relation, like what he was talking about made sense to me why he got triggered. I'm like, like I put two and two together. Right. And I told him, like, remember yesterday when I said this and you got triggered? Now I realize why. And I told myself, and what I just told you, I told myself that that's something that you need to work on. And I said it in a way that it wasn't like, you got to do this. Why did you say that? Like, not making him wrong, just bringing it into his awareness. And he was able, then he like kind of paused and thought about it. He's like, like it was something for him to think about. And like, let him like pause. Don't even say anymore. Because once that person is pausing and really thinking about it, you don't have to say anything else, because now you triggered or ignited, you planted that seed in them to realize, oh, there's something more to that. Like he was putting the blame on me, but it really wasn't. It had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
So it's like allowing that pause and letting them think and stop talking.
I love that. I love that you give the space to heal.
Yeah.
And that it clearly shows that you want to work on your relationship and bring it higher level.
Yes.
That's beautiful. And giving him space to think. I think that's so powerful, because often, we want to be like, you, and pointing fingers, and that is completely pointless. It does nothing except damage the relationship more and push the person away.
Yes. Because no one's listening.
Nobody's listening. They're all in fight mode, and all the triggers are triggered, and everyone's got alarm bells going off inside, and it's not gonna help.
No, not at all. So and we do feel like we have to fill up that space, that dead space, that silence. And so we don't allow people to pause and really think about something, because we feel discomfort in the silence, and that's practicing. And so that practice that you just told us about, that is a good way for us to practice, to sit in that space. Not necessarily it's silence because your partner is speaking, but you're silent. And
listening and holding space.
And then you could bring that outside. Practice. It does take practice. It does everything. No one's gonna get it on the first try unless that's just who you are. Like that's that's what you're made for. But typically you got to think of a baby learning to walk. They don't just learn how to walk one day. No. They practice.
And let it be messy. Let it be fun. Don't have all these rules that, and make it uptight and so business-like. It's just
Mm,
come together with an intention of fun, but listening and let it just be fun.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Absolutely.
better. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all your gifts and your knowledge and also your personal experience. It got you here, and not only do you get to benefit from it, but you get to share it with others. So where can
Mhm.
people find you, Krista?
Yeah, I am on Instagram at Krista Biglin. It's Biglin dot, or sorry, just Krista Biglin. And then I'm working on a website. It'll be www.kristabiglin.com. So you can
Awesome.
find me in those two spots for now.
Yes.
And my podcast is coming out, and it is called Searching for Self. And it's all about how
Mm,
we find ourselves. We feel lost sometimes. Often women feel like we've taken the wrong turn in our lives, and we feel stuck and we feel miserable and we're unfulfilled and we're on autopilot, and we don't know how to get back to ourselves, back to
mm,
our home within ourselves.
yes.
So it's
Yes.
all about coming home to yourself and listening to yourself on the inside and turning ourselves inside out, basically, and internally referencing rather than externally referencing, where we look
Mhm.
outside in the world to answer all the things we want. It's all inside, it's all within you. So come join me on Searching for Self, because it's going to be fun. And I have a lot of guests too. And Thermanda, you will be on there too.
Woohoo! I absolutely love that title, and it's so fitting for the listeners of this podcast because that's part of the healing process. And once you start doing that, I mean, there's other different areas of your life, but searching for self, I think that's where the majority of your healing will
Yeah,
happen.
absolutely. It
So,
will, because you're referencing from inside. You can't always
yes.
listen to what people want you to do. It's really
Mm-mm.
about following your heart.
And what you
Yeah,
need, because no one knows what you need but yourself. You're the
exactly.
expert of your own body.
Exactly.
No one else can tell you what to do.
No, they can't. They think
They'll
they
try.
can, but they
Yeah.
can't. Yeah.
Try. We know they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and now we're getting slapped in the face right now, but um that's another story.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to, if we stop listening to ourselves and do what other people want us to do, that's when the dis-ease
Yeah.
happens in the body.
Yes. Yeah,
And it's
it is.
time to step up and be our own advocate and take our power back and be who we are meant to be in this world. We came to this earth for a reason, and it wasn't to follow someone else's orders.
Exactly. We need to live authentically from our
Yes.
own heart, from our soul,
Yes.
and listen to the voice within.
Yes. That's so much more beautiful. You said that much more beautifully than I did. But yes, exactly what Krista said. It's always coming back to that loving aspect.
Yeah. Come back to yourself.
Yes. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you do. And I'll have all your information in the show notes for people who want to reach out to Krista. And yeah, don't feel shame
No,
in reaching out to her or anyone else that offers what she offers. There's no shame in it,
no, there
because
isn't.
you're actually going to make a huge difference in your life and everybody else's life, and anybody that comes into your life, it's going to make a difference, I'm telling you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Thermanda. Thank you for having
Yes.
me. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Yes, thank you.